This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody, I'm Joe Castello, and this is WFO Radio. And what we're doing today is we'll be sitting down with the reigning back-to-back Camping World Drag Racing Top Fuel World Champion, Steve Torrence. It's a winter view. He just won at the Texas Motorplex. But what's different about this show is we're taking over Steve's fan Facebook page. So we're going to have a whole bunch of hardcore Steve Torrence fans out there that are going to hear from Steve, who is the points leader, beat his dad in the final round. And we're going to talk about the race. We're going to talk about the championship. We're going to talk about good news. We're going to talk about some tough news. And it is all going to be all over Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and our own WFO Radio podcast feed. And so if you're a fan of Steve, waste no time, share the show, start a watch party. What am I even doing? Let's bring him on the show. The two-time back-to-back current points leader, world champ from last year, Steve Torrence. Steve, congratulations.
Thanks, Joe. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. And we're doing something new here. And I love it because you've got a huge fan base, hardcore Steve Torrence fans. And we are broadcasting, in addition to the WFO Radio Facebook page, where you normally join us, we are going directly to your fans on your page. I love it. Great idea. Was not my idea. It came from Natalie. And I thank you for it. I'm eager to see what kind of comments we get through Facebook.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to it. And I think that it'll be a great deal for both of us.
Yes, I certainly hope so. So we've got a lot of good news and bad news to talk about. I like to get bad news out of the way first. And we have both lost someone that is near and dear to our hearts, a good friend. Mama Kay is a fixture at Wine Night with Ron Tobler and Eric Lane this past week after the Texas Motorplex race, prior to the Houston race, which we're all getting ready for. Eric was killed on the side of a road. Details are coming out, but the most important detail to us is we've lost a friend and we're all hurting.
Yeah, it's such a tragic accident. There's so many questions still going around as to just what exactly happened, but Hop Singh, Eric, everybody knew him as Hop Singh, I've known Hop since 2005, 2006. I had some friends on the Force car. So, but that's back when Ashley was racing A-Fuel and I was racing A-Fuel. So that friendship goes back a really long time, and just such a tragic accident. Mama Kay goes over there and drinks wine with him and Tobe every weekend at Wine Night, and just, such a big fixture in the drag racing community. Everyone here, we found out Tuesday when, my guys come down and tell us what happened, and they're spending the week. So we're doing anything and everything we can to support his wife and his little girl and that family, and just keep praying for him. Cause this is a very difficult time. And they had, he's 47 years old, it's brutal. It's such a tragedy, but we just need to keep praying and just help that family and support them through this difficult time.
And this is something that you've had experience with very recently. And we've all been talking about what a tough year 2020 has been for everybody in all kinds of different circumstances. But in drag racing, thinking about Dominic, we put that Nitro Ninja up there in the corner.
Yes.
That was terrible. It still is terrible, but some positive news about Dominic.
So at this point, he is in a step-down hospital, which is where you don't need all of the care that they can give you where he was at. But the next step will be for him to move into rehab and then eventually move home. So Bobby Lagana, there was two things he said he would never do: never get a tattoo, and he wasn't going to buy a house. Well, he's done both here lately. So he got a tattoo for Dom that said "God is love," and I'm sure you should see that on the show.
Yes,
and had the Nitro Ninja logo, and then also he's bought him a home. So that's somewhere that Bobby and Dom, and then Dom's fiance and soon to be wife Sarah will live together, and Dom's doing really good. Given all of the injuries, everything that he's sustained, he's doing very well. His body's healing, and he's the most optimistic, best attitude you could ever imagine any day. And so for him, he just is dealing with it and moving forward and knows what's ahead of him. But, you know, we still got to keep his spirits up and we still got to kind of support him. But I mean, he's doing really well. He's still got a long road to go. And I talked to him a couple mornings ago and he said, it's going to be a long winter, but I'm coming back. And I said, I expect you to be there. We're missing you.
That's so great. All you fans out there, you know, put your comments in the Facebook page and we'll put them up on the screen for Steve, maybe even some questions. Steve, I told this story yesterday, but I didn't tell you, so I'll tell you. You can see in the background, I'm a New York Yankee fan, and so is Dom and obviously Bobby. And I've watched playoff games from your pit last year, Mama Kay, Dom, myself, watching the Astros and the Yankees battle it out. And so I have a tradition with Dom. We always text about the game. And so, you know, I'm texting him constantly. And when this happened, I was just like, I'm going to give space, got to give space. And the other day I texted him to try to bring back normalcy. And when I saw the response coming, you know how the response is coming, little dots, it was just, it was so great. And so, boy, I feel like we're being tested this year, drag racing fans. I don't know if the fans understand, but the racers and as me as an NHRA announcer, we're all, I like to think, an extended family. This feels like our family's being tested.
Yeah, and I think everybody is, you know, but I mean, given all of the bad stuff, there's been quite a bit of good stuff that's happened to me personally in my life this year. So, you know, we got to try to look at that side of things and that aspect and just go on, because if you get too caught up with all the negative stuff that's going on, I mean, you'll just say this year needs to get over with quicker, but you know, we're doing the best we can.
And it's about balance, and that's the way you got to look at it, and that's what Dominic is all about, looking at the positive, accentuating the positive. So now that we've got the terrible news and the bad getting better news, let's talk about the good news. We've kicked this around a little bit, but
yeah,
baby Torrence is official, is on the way. Natalie, you're going to be a dad. You got large father, Big Daddy Don Garlitz in on the action when you won with his scheme in Gainesville. So how does it feel knowing that you're going to have a real big time responsibility coming up?
You know, it's a lot of different emotions. I mean, first and foremost is excitement, and then nervous and anxiety, because I mean, I am going to be a father, and that's the biggest responsibility I'll ever have, is to take care of that little girl. And I'm excited. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think that, you know, I think it's going to be so much fun, and I'm excited. And everybody everybody tells you, you'll never know what love is until you hold your own child. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm anxious and excited.
You deserve it. You deserve it. You've been a good guy. You deserve it, but also you deserve it in the tough way, right? Like, I can't wait till you've got a teenage daughter, Steve. It's gonna be
well, what I told all the guys I said, you know, I was really hoping for a boy, because we could team rope together and we could drag race together. And then I started thinking, well, I can do all those same things with a little girl, and we'll have an amazing time. But the only thing I'm worried about is I got to deal with guys like you, the team, and the drag racers that are out here. And I see how this goes. And so I think that we'll have 20 different uncles and bodyguards that are looking after her. So we'll be okay.
There's a saying, it's not really appropriate, but when you have a boy, you only have to worry about one. When you have a girl, you have to worry about all the rest. And
exactly.
I'll let you guys figure out what I'm talking about. We got some people weighing in. Steve-O knows baby Capco coming along. Do you want a boy or a girl? You just answered that question. That's perfect timing. And it doesn't matter. Terry's going to be down there in Baytown. Got to be excited to get back racing. Texas two-step here.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, great weekend at Dallas. Couldn't have been any better. I mean, go out there and have both Capco cars in the final. And now we're headed to Houston. So Houston has been one of the tracks that has eluded us for a win. And we've done well there. We've been in the final there and had some, just bad luck. And I think we didn't win the race and hit that thing's got a bump in it. So maybe that's gone. But we'll just go there and do the best we can. I mean, we've got the lead. We have a little bit of a cushion, but with this 1.5 points at the last race that they kind of sprung on us, it's gonna make it go all the way to the end.
It's going to go all the way to the end, but let's focus on the victory that you just had. Texas, as in Billy Meyer's Texas Motorplex, has been a tough place for you. I know you've had the suite for as long as I can remember, and I love that the Capco, employees, fans, family, friends are there. And on a normal year, you can hear them going crazy, and I love that. That's what drag racing is about. It's a sport where the cars are so loud, sometimes you can't hear the fans. In this case, you always can. But in 2017, you had your incident. I went back to look at that, and what's amazing is if you look at the ladder on NHRA.com, there's no way to know that you really had an incident because you brought out the backup car and you made such a great run, but you did come up short. The following year, 2018, you win. 2019, a first round out on a tough race, but your dad wins. And so you're able to win in back-to-back years, and then you come back here in 2020 and a decisive victory for the championship. But just talk about your, I don't know if it's a love-hate relationship with the Texas Motorplex or it's just a love relationship, but speak on that a little bit.
Well, I've grown up racing there. That was when I started racing. We raced Super Comp, Dallas and Houston. Those are the races that we would go to as national events. And so I like to go there. I love to go there. And you see so many people that you don't see throughout the year. It was funny. So Cameron and I are in the back of the truck and we're going down the parade for driver introductions, which was fun to do again.
Yes.
But we're talking and we're just talking about some crazy stuff. And we get down there to the end and right about the finish line, I said, man, he kind of looked at me and he started laughing. He goes, remember anything? And I said, yeah, I got some really crazy memories right here. Hit that wall pretty fast a few years ago. But other than that, I mean, I love to go there. And I mean, I think that if somebody like Tony Schumacher can look up and say, hey, I don't like this place because of a wreck, or I don't like this place because of a wreck. I mean, but you take those in stride. Leah, she can say, I don't like St. Louis because of the wreck, but you just take them in stride. That's what we do. And used to, a lot of fans that are new to the sport, and even people that just come onto the scene, they ask you, have you ever wrecked? What's the worst wreck you ever had?
Sure.
And my answer was, I haven't had one yet. But after that, you can say, well, Dallas, and that's the only one. But it's what we do. We're driving 330 mile an hour cars. It's possibly something that's going to happen. So you just hope that it doesn't and keep going. And when it does, you get back in and keep going.
The you and Cam hanging out thing, I don't want to skip over that because you guys had a great moment together, a drag racing moment that was not a good moment, but tough moments build character. And so here you are, you're two young guys, it's like it's over. And you've moved on. You've both moved on. I've spoken to Cam. You've spoken to Cam. But there are some fans out there, and that's one of the reasons that we're on here today. There are some fans out there like, look, fans, these guys are cool, but some fans don't want to be cool with it. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, it's rather comical. I see on social some of the fans. I mean, we're talking, this is 3 years ago, guys. Okay. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. I made a big mistake. The problem with my mistake is it was on national television, and the mistakes that other people make is not on national television. So it's really easy to throw stones when you're not even in the house.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff was over by the end or by the start of the next season. I mean, I talked to Cam and we were good. Like there was no issue anymore. And he understood my side of it. I understood his side of it. The way that I handled it was wrong. And I openly say, hey, I was wrong. I said it at the banquet. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that I was wrong. But I manned up. We addressed the situation, and he and I are friends now. I mean, he's got a baby on the way. I've got a baby on the way. We were talking about that. The guy's out there doing what he loves to do. I'm out there doing what I love to do. Stuff happens, but it's over with. We've corrected it and went on, and I've learned and grown from it. So I think that maybe some of these do what?
Your kids are going to play together. Like I can see it now.
It's sure they'll be at the racetrack.
It'll be a story.
As far as some of these fans, I mean, man, you can only beat a dead horse for so long, and these suckers are wearing this dead horse out.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think this is the last time we'll address it. But
Absolutely.
I like this photo though, and I think that tells the tale right there and gets it done. So let's just skip ahead. First round, you and Cam, he didn't get down, you got down, and then a bye run. But let's set up the deal. It's the semifinals, the Coletta cars and the Capco cars.
Well, let me tell you what happened to Cam, because I got out and went over there and talked to him.
Sure.
The fuel lever broke off when they were trying to start the car, so it didn't have any. I mean, they had to open the fuel manually and just get the thing to crank up. So they were having mechanical issues. So, I mean, that was a tough break for them.
Bummer. Thank you for updating. And see, folks, like that's it. Like, drag racing is such a great sport because of that. And, you want to know what happened to your competition, what went wrong, how can we fix it the next time? But you're in a championship fight. You skipped the first race of the year. You've been able to come storming back. You've taken you've been near the lead. Doug Coletta's been having a strong year too. And here you got Connie Coletta's 2 cars and Mama K's 2 cars squaring off in the semifinals. And it's exactly as you would want it, where Sean is racing you and how a team member would run it, where he would hopefully take you out and Doug will go on to win the race, and vice versa. Billy will hopefully take out Doug and you will go on to win the race if you're looking at that kind of point situation. In this case, both Capco cars beat both Coletta cars. And if you're a Capco fan, you love it. If you're a Coletta fan, you hate it. If you're a drag racing fan, that's exactly the kind of stuff you want to see.
Yeah, and I mean, the only way it would have been better is if it would have been Coletta and I in the final for maybe the average fan or somebody that's looking. But I mean, I really wanted to race my dad in the final. I mean, that sucker, I saw.
He's brutal on you. He doesn't lay over. He refuses to lay over.
And he doesn't. And I do see on social where people say, oh, that his dad laid down for him. And I don't think that people understand the complexity of these cars and how difficult it truly is to get that thing to go down, to get it to go down consistent. And there's no room to say, okay, we're going to speed this one up and slow this one down. That doesn't happen. You just go out there and race. And so that kind of ticked me off. And so I go back and I start looking. I was 058 in the final and I went 371.6. The only lap that would have even beat us that day was Coletta in the first round, and he would have won by 1,000. So, I mean, he was 060 and went 71.3. So, I mean, we went out there loaded for bear because we know how Jason McCullough and John Stewart and Billy are over there. Those guys are going for our throat every time as well. And so we needed it. We had to go up there and throw down.
Let's watch the final. Brian Loans, Tony Pedregon, Fox Sports. Let's check it out.
Steve grabs 200 from his dad's back pocket off the starting line, and he takes more than that to the stripe. 3.716 seconds, 328.78 miles an hour as Billy Torrence goes 381.0. And you can see we love Dom, and we know, Dom, you're watching, and we love you too, as Steve Torrence now unequivocally has taken control of the championship run in Top Fuel.
Wow. Amazing moment. And Brian Loans, Tony Pedregon, Fox Sports, NHRA Broadcasting, doing a great job. Camping World Drag Racing, of course. But you're right. It doesn't matter what your dad did. You left first and you ran one of the best runs of the day. He would have had to have done something that hadn't been possible to that point. So, but people just like to say that. Again, it's just like, maybe it's good. It's a conversation piece.
Oh, and I'm sure it is, but it just shows that you truly don't know what's going on there. I mean, the difference between an 058 and an 070 or an 080 or 100, you can't calculate that. You can't say, okay, I'm going to be 100 this time. It happens. If that tree takes a little bit long or it was a little bit quick from what you had been doing and you're not ready for it or you're anticipating it, you go from an 050 to 100. If we woof the tire at all, whatever he ran, 80 or 81, drives around us and you can't pedal it and go 81. I mean, there's zero room for error there. So I get a kick out of reading that and saying there's some of these people have no clue how difficult this really is.
Well, Jack Beckman said yesterday, and it's the same thing. Like there's no box, like you've used a delay box, so you know what it's like to program in numbers. You don't program in your ET there, 371, 2.
No.
And but some people think maybe that's possible, and it would be great if it was, but everyone would program in.
Everybody, exactly. Every time.
Every time. Just let's go to the world record. All right, here's a question from Daniel, kind of more of a comment. Tell Steve to say hello from Daniel and thank him for allowing me to apologize to him, and congratulations to him on fatherhood. Do you know what this is all about?
I do. And thank you, Daniel. He came up to me and he goes, I just want to apologize to you in person. A couple years ago, I made some comments on Twitter or Instagram. It was somewhere about some stuff, and he retracted what he said and apologized. And I said, hey, man, I respect that. I appreciate it. And I take most of that stuff with a grain of salt and go on. But it meant a whole lot to me for him to come up and in person say, I'm sorry. Thank you. And I support you now. I get it.
That's all you can ask. All right, here's one from James Seelig. Ever get tired of beating up on your dad?
I don't know what the number is, but that sucker's beat up on me more than I've beat up on him here lately for certain.
Yes. And the way I
was 8 and 4 or something, and most of those have come when I didn't want them to happen. I mean, like when there's no room for it, he's kicking my butt.
He tried to ruin the perfect countdown, something that for me is important in drag racing history. The fact that you swept a countdown, and he tried to ruin it, and he almost did. And I just always think about that. Here, the guys, kid, wife's team, his team, lifelong racers. Kid's got a shot to do something perfect. What am I going to do with this situation? I'm going to go out and try to beat him. That tells me everything I need to know. So good question, Steve. Here's one from Nick. Would you or your pops ever drive a funny car? Like, would you ever want to drive a funny car?
That's like a tricky question because I don't know. The most fun, the coolest, most bad to the bone thing I have ever driven was an alcohol funny car, because it wasn't the speed, and it wasn't all. I mean, I went to Holly's and I drove it just to get my license, and this has been the year that Force had the wreck at Dallas.
Oh wow!
But I still remember pushing in the clutch, revving the motor up, getting the RPMs up, switching feet, going out, plugging the second gear, plugging third gear, driving this thing. And all the while it's getting darker inside because of the clutch dust. And then the whole body of this car moves with you as you're turning. And that sensation was by far one of the coolest things I've ever driven. But everything that you blow up in a funny car, you have to drive through. So it's in your lap, and it's going to continue to be in your lap, and while it's on fire. So I don't really know if I'd want to do it all the time, but to just go out and make some laps in a Top Fuel funny car, I would love it.
All right. I think we can make that happen. That's something that would be a fun bit to do for social, for the show, for TV, like a driver swap thing. People like to see that stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Hey, Steve, heard about the news. Congratulations. Here's one from Derek. What do you do in the daytime at Capco? Like, who is Steve Torrence away from the track? Like, we know about the roping and the competitive shooting. I like, you can answer it anyway, but I want to hear about like work Steve.
So right now we're about 350, 400 people. We are a natural gas pipeline, oil and gas, but mostly natural gas pipeline construction company. So we do work we will transmit the gas from the well to the compressor station or the facility or wherever they're taking it. And we build all of that pipe. We put it in the ground. We weld it together. We make sure all the safety precautions are in check for it. We do every aspect of that. What I do is my dad and myself are the only two people here that do any of the estimating for the jobs. So we do all of that between the two of us. And then we have project managers that will take our bids, use them to manage the projects and go out. And then we have salesmen that will go out and look at this work, bring it in, and we bid it. So we've been very, very fortunate and blessed because the pipeline and oil and gas industry hasn't been the greatest this year. but we've been able to stay busy all year long and keep quite a few people working. So we have, like I said, we have a lot of people that work here, but we have, I think, a 12 or 15 year tenure for our average employees that stay here. So these guys have come here and been with us for a long time. We have second and third generation employees, the guys that you know, and now the dads are retiring and the sons and the grandsons are working here together. But it's a big family. But that's my day-to-day job, is estimating work.
That's got to be tough. You know, my dad did concrete business for a while, and I remember the plans spread out. And for you guys, like a concrete job isn't at least in one area. You're going over areas and
miles, yeah,
miles and miles, and what's there. You know, how do you know that there's not something in the way? You probably got to do a lot of work. That's got to be very challenging.
Well, you have the aspect of starting here and going 50 miles this direction, and you have to predict the weather, the terrain, what you're going to encounter, whether that ground is going to be loose and soft or it's going to be hard and rocky, and all of that has to go into your bid, and then you justify, well, am I going to have this much margin, or am I going to cut it, or am I going to raise it, and just see where you can be at to make money. And if you don't do it right, you can not get the job, or you can go out there and lose a lot of money.
Right, which is bad. I'm not a big business guy, but I know that's bad.
It doesn't give you the ability to go race top fuel for certain.
Which you guys have been doing a great job. All right, more questions, guys. Put them up in the Facebook. Steve doing a great job. I want to let everybody know, WFO Radio, we've got many Steve Torrence interviews in our podcast archive on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Steve, over the past, since 2017, I think you've been on the show more than anybody. I think that's fair to say, right? Given all the wins, the perfect countdown, and you always come on the show. It's always an adventure too, but we've never done this. So I think it's great that we're evolving up.
Yeah. And I think this is, I personally like this better. I think that you can go in and you can see that person and you can watch them as they answer the questions and know, how they're feeling and get a little bit more than just the audio side of it. So I like this.
This is great. And I do like the audio only people for the driving. They're listening to us.
Well, true.
They're driving. Let's look at some photographs that were sent. And I just want you to comment on a couple of different things. Like, for instance, you and AB, during the COVID, you guys did some shows. You've had some jokes at Chocolate and Cream, but you guys have got a great relationship. It's kind of hard to remember because it feels like a million years ago. But, Antron is trying to become a team owner eventually. Like, that was big, good, positive news that unfortunately just has been overrun by all the stuff that has happened this year. But you guys have got a great relationship. How did that come about?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I remember watching AB when I was a kid racing motorcycles, and he's not that much older than me. So I've always looked up to him for his racing ability, whether it was on the bikes, whether it was in the fuel cars. He's done an excellent job. And then being out there full time racing with these guys and getting to know all the other drivers personally, he and I have just gravitated towards each other mutually as better friends. And everybody has different personalities. I think that the way that we look at life, our Christianity, our morals, things that mean something to us, are very, very like and similar. And so we talk. We may talk every day for a week, and we may not talk for a month. But when you pick up the phone and I call AB or AB calls me, I know that if I was in jail or he was in jail, that we could count on each other to come get you. If he's on the side of the road in Michigan, I'm going to get AB if he needs my help. And I know that he's the same way with me. And you go through life and you know a lot of people and you meet a lot of people and you have a lot of acquaintances. But then you have very, very few friends. And Antron Brown is one of my best friends.
That is awesome to hear. And the guy's a great guy. And it's great that you guys have got that kind of friendship. So it's like serious question to very light question. Like Eddie wants to know, where'd you get the hat? Did Eddie get you the hat? Like whenever I see that, it's like Eddie sold you the hat.
So this is an American Hat Company hat. They're one of my sponsors, and they take great care of me, and bend over backwards. And the funny thing is, Eddie Lynn is our dispatcher here at Capco, and he just got one exactly like it a couple days ago. We got him hooked up with all the great folks up there at the Best Hat Store. So I'll go pick on him in just a little bit.
There it is. But that's why we're doing it. That's why we're doing it. You're taking over the Steve Torrence fan page for all of you guys out there. We're breaking into the middle of your day. We're slowing the productivity down at Capco. I hope you don't mind, but it's all good. All right. Nick wants to know, what does Steve think about Camping World coming on board? You're a hunter. You're out in the nature. You're doing all of this stuff. I don't know that it could have been a better relationship. I don't know any of the financial details, of course, but just what do you see the potential upside, and what do you think about the Camping World deal?
You know, I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts on it. I mean, I don't know much about the company. I know that they were involved with NASCAR, and they seem to be a great fit for the sport. I think that we needed a series sponsor, and those guys came in and rescued us. I don't know any of the details or the financials or what's going on. I mean, but NHRA needs a lot of help. I mean, they're struggling in more ways than you can imagine. So maybe that guy can come in and bring some good and help out the sport and help some of the guys up there in management of NHRA. I mean, he is the prophet. He is the guy that comes in and saves those businesses. So I'm anxious and looking forward to see what he can do.
Exactly. If you've watched the show, I know it's just a show, but if you've watched the show, the guy has got loaded with ideas. He's got successful businesses. Let's see what he wants to be involved with us. Like, nobody had to sell him on it. He wanted to be involved.
Right.
That's what you need. You need somebody who's smart, who's successful, who's got connections with all these different companies and wants to be involved.
Yeah. And that's what it takes. It takes that drive, that motivation, and wanting to do something, because if you're just there for a job, sometimes you get complacent.
Simple as that. All right, couple more before we let you go, get back to work. Your racing hero, you know, your dad is in your family, and I assume that Billy is your racing hero. We're going to talk about Billy and Mama Kay in a second, but like, I got pictures of Earnhardt around here. I got all kinds of, you know, I love the snake. I love when you think back early on, young Steve, who was the guy that was your guy that you grew up and wanted to be like?
Man, honestly, there were two. It was Daryl Gwynn and Joe Amato. And Joe Amato was just always like that cool cat, you know, and the snake at that point in time, when I was a kid, the snake was just dominating.
Yes.
But in the early 90s, it was Joe Amato. He was the guy. He was the back-to-back top fuel champion. Joe knows.
Joe knows.
I mean, you remember those shirts?
By the way, Joe still knows. I have a shirt. I have a Joe knows shirt in the bag, sealed,
with Snoopy on it. I mean, he was just like, he was the man. And so I talked to him in Vegas 2018 when we won the championship the first year, where we were trying to go through the sweep, and we were doing an autograph session, and I had this discussion with somebody here not too long ago, and you find yourself, and I mean, I'm 37, so I'm not a kid, but I'm not as old as these guys. And these are the heroes and the legends that I watched when I was a kid. I watched these guys race. I wanted to be like them. And I'm sitting at a table signing autographs beside Joe Amato, and he's giving me a pat on the back and talking about how cool it is of what we're doing, and having the opportunity to sweep the countdown. And you're kind of like thinking to yourself, is this real? You know, I mean, is this really happening to me? This guy knows my name. And I remember being 7, 8, 9 years old and like standing at the ropes waiting on that guy's autograph. You know, I mean, it's been very humbling to be able to be in this position, to have the success that we've had, but find yourself knowing these people on a first name basis. And now they're they're still my heroes, but I know them. I can pick up the phone and call them. And I'll tell you one funny thing, and a couple things, but we do a lot of stuff with Daryl Gwynn, and we give back to that foundation, and we did the thing with the wheelchair, and so Gainesville's his track, and this year we did the thing with Big with the car. And I've gotten to know Big. So Big's like a friend to me now. And when I staged the car in the final round, if any of you fans or I know you probably see it, but when I staged the car in the final round, Gary Pritchett pulls me into the beams. He takes his left hand and he holds it up there where he wants me to pull to, and he's got his right hand and he's signaling me in. And when he stops me, he'll open that hand like this, and it'll have a money symbol, because that is the money round, and those guys get a bonus off of what that car makes. So he's like, give me some money. Well, that's the last guy that I see before I stage the car. And so Gary pulls me in. He shows me the sign. I point to him. He walks off. And I'm getting ready to like roll the car in. I'm waiting on Bob to adjust the barrel valve and give me the signal. And I'm waiting. And out of the corner of my eye, I see something moving. And I look over, and it's Big Daddy standing at the beams, like to the right of the car, over by the nose, standing there looking. And I just look over and I start laughing, and I'm like, I think I might have made it. I finally made it. Big Daddy standing at the starting line with me while I'm racing in the final.
You did. That's amazing. That thing, and folks, if you go back into the archive on WFO Radio's Facebook page, you could hear Steve talk all about it when we show the video. But Garlitz was like a kid. For a guy who's in his 80s, it was amazing how much he loved it. And just to get back to Amato after Vegas last year, I found myself, because of Amanda Busey. Look at this guy. We came on the high roller with us, Steve, and we were in the bar car, and this guy was the life of the party. Joe
That's
Amato.
awesome.
And I'm hanging out with Joe Amato, feeling exactly like you're feeling, doing shots with Joe Amato. It was next level. And Daryl Gwynn, I really love the fact that you appreciate DG. As a Miami guy, he was everything to us, and he made an impression beyond South Florida, obviously.
So do you remember when he would back up from his burnout, he would stick his hand up and wave?
Yes. Yeah. It was great. Well, we had a Miami team. It was like rooting for a home team. That's how your guys feel. And with all the teams being based in Brownsburg, it kind of removes an element for some people. We had a Miami team. Your fans have got a Texas team to root for, and DG with the wave, and he was on top of the world. They were on top of the world for a long time. All right, a couple more, and then we'll let you go. I want to ask you about a couple of folks that I think are pretty important to you. So let's throw this one up.
Where did you get that picture?
I am good. I planned for this. Normally, I plan for nothing. I planned for this. Of course, it was Natalie who sent this stuff. Blame Natalie, folks. Talk about these two and just the crazy, the way life has gone.
Man, that's me and Mama Kay at, I would say we're probably at Memphis, and I'm 13 years old or something right there.
Wow.
That's, those two right there have been with me through thick and thin. I mean, that's what parents do, but I got some really good ones. And same day, there's my dad. So, man, I grew up at the racetrack, and I feel blessed to be able to say that, because I got a lot of friends and family members that are not blood family, but they're there. It's the same type of relationship that you have that I have with AB. It's just, those are the people that you're around. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about this sport is this is just like rodeo for cowboy families or whatever. I mean, this is where we spend our lives. We spend our life 3 days of every week or 4 days of every week at a racetrack somewhere. And more time, like my crew guys spend more time with each other than they do their families at home. And so when you have someone that you work that much with and you spend that much time with, you have to have that bond. And so I'm thankful for I got sidetracked there. I'm thankful for my parents giving me that opportunity to do that. And I mean, I look at that, we're 30 years from there almost, or 25 years from that picture.
I gotta say, and this is me, I'm sorry for being this. Billy looking very Gap right there. He's looking very Gap. You too, very Gap. You guys are cowboyed up now, but back then.
So that's Billy's 2-piece fire suit with a flannel shirt, and I mean, when you're a kid, you wear whatever you think is in style at the time. So
yes.
I mean, that would have been 95, 97 or something.
Yeah, you
got probably like a Massimo shirt.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had to wear 2 shirts everywhere, and now maybe 3, but I hadn't figured that out yet.
You look like a Backstreet Boy. You look good. All right.
Hey, don't say that, brother.
No, they were very successful, Steve.
That picture right there is 2005. That would be, man, I don't know where that's at. That might be Dallas or Topeka or somewhere.
Yeah, it's like a wall in the background and it looks like a tent thing. Kind of interesting. I don't know, but and then finally this one.
Yep. Same year. That was that was 2005, the year that I raced Tom Conway's alcohol car with Doc Howard and all those guys. That's a throwback. I believe it or not, today I got a package in the mail with some old handout cards, and it was a handout card from that season.
Wow.
And I looked back and I thought, man, I've gotten fatter. I got a lot less hair than I had there. I mean, I'm going downhill fast.
Mama K's a hottie, I got to say.
Mama K takes good care of herself. She's in the gym 2 or 3 days a week at least. And yeah, she's always active and a hard worker. So she takes care of about 10 acres of flowers over there at her house. So she stays busy all the time.
I've seen it. All right. We want to let you get back to work, get back to estimating. There are a couple more questions like canopy car. Would you ever do that? Would you ever want to do that? We talked to Tony about Leah's incident, and he he was part of the development thing. You guys, you have a different windscreen than ever before, though. It's way up there. It's very thick. But what do you think about that canopy?
I think it's a personal choice, and I've looked at both of them. There's pros and cons to both. I do have a very thick windscreen. It's very high, as opposed to it being closed in. I think the visibility out of my car is better than a canopy car. I've sat in Antrons a couple times. There's also a little bit of weight there in the driver compartment. I know that it's not supposed to be able to, but there's a possibility for some fire to get into that area, and it creates a negative pressure area. So I think there's pros and cons to both sides of it. I do feel comfortable and confident in that Morgan Lucas race car and that chassis, that it does its job. I feel the wreck in 17 put it to the test, and it stood tall. So I'm comfortable in a non-canopy car, and that's just what I prefer.
Two more, a silly one and then a real one. Misty wants to know if you're ever going to ride Oliver. And for people who don't know, I don't have a photo of Oliver, folks, but Oliver. Describe Oliver.
So Oliver is the Watusi bull that was at Dallas, the big horn steer there at Dallas, and so huge. It's huge. So they were asking me if I'd ride him up there, and Oliver was pretty calm and gentle. You could lean on him and pet on him, and he was kind of like a big dog. So yeah, I'd probably take a ride on Oliver.
All right, there you go. And then this will be the final question, everybody. And then we'll let Steve go. I'll wrap up this show. But Susie wants to know if you and Nat have picked a name.
No, we have not.
Okay.
And I will tell you, it's probably the most difficult thing I've had to think about. It took me like 9 months to name a horse one time. So I'm running out of time pretty quick. But the thing about horses and dogs and animals, they never get mad at you for their name, and they don't know if they like it or not. They just answer to a tone. I don't want my little girl in 16 years to go, Dad, why did you pick this name for me?
Right.
So we got to think this out pretty good. But Nat's got a few picked. I've got a few picked, and we'll just see who we agree upon. But we're still working on that one.
What's one that is definitely not what it's going to be? Like, that's how a lot of people start the decision making. Like, okay, I don't want to, no offense, everybody named Jennifer, but I'm just saying My name is Joe. I have the most common name of everybody, so I know what it's all about. Did you eliminate anything yet?
Not completely, but if it were going to be a boy, it would not be Billy, James, or Steve.
Okay.
Because that seems to be a common name in my family, which I'm actually a Steven, but it wouldn't be any of those three. But we haven't nulled anything for the girl names yet.
This is good. This is something to look forward to for everybody. All right, this weekend, Baytown, 2 to go, final race, 1.5 points. You got a lead of 30 some odd points. Doug Coletta, 51, excuse me. Great driver, but you're not out of the woods yet, and you got to go right to the stripe, and it's going to be fun to watch. Thank you for doing this today, and everybody on Steve Torrance's Facebook page. When Nat suggested this, I was like, you sure about that? And I think it's turned out great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to maybe being on again next week.
Yeah, well, if we always say that with the WFO interviews, you control that. If you win, you could be on the next couple of weeks if you make it happen. Good luck. All the best. Thanks for the info on Dominic. Very importantly, we really appreciate it. And thanks to all you guys back there. Say hi to the Capco boys.
Thank you, guys.
There he goes. Steve Torrence with us here on WFO Radio. How about that? All you guys on Steve's Facebook page, you've done a great job. We held him for a very long time. And, work did not get done, but that's what we do on WFO. We catch people when they are victorious. Now, I do want to mention for everybody out there that we've got some great people that help us out on this show. People like Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. People like Sanacor hand sanitizer, SanacorUSA.com. Hit their Facebook page. Do it right now. They've been supplying hand sanitizer for the NHRA races to get us back and helped us out. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Marvin Rodak is located in Fort Worth, Texas, 817-924-6821. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, and samtech.edu. These people have been so helpful to WFO Radio and done great things. If you're new to the show, you've never seen it, head on over to our Facebook page, WFO Radio, NHRA Drag Racing, NASCAR and Motorsports Podcast. And you're thinking to yourself, Joe, that name is so long. And it is. But people were having trouble finding us with just WFO Radio because what's that? It's our own brand. But we told them exactly what it was. It's an NHRA Drag Racing, NASCAR, and Motorsports podcast. And we got a great feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. And if you like the interview with Steve, you're going to love all of our show. Because just yesterday, we had Jack Beckman and Matt Hartford. We had Jerry Savoy. Kind of our thing is you win your way on the show. And it's not even up to me who gets on. You win Top Fuel, you get to be on the show, just like Steve. So who's going to win next week? Who's going to be on the show? It could be Steve again. And we'll do this again, and you'll have a chance to ask some more questions. We'll be on his page. Yeah, I guess we will. We had really good numbers today. Thank you very much. And, please share the show because most of our audience happens after. This thing's going to bounce around on the interwebs, either our YouTube page or on demand on Facebook for a while. And we got some great listeners too, like Corey Savoy, and we've got Mike Heiner, and everybody is rocking our WFO Radio face coverings. We got stickers on a lot of cars out there. Hit our website, WFOradio.com. You will see all of the stuff we got going on and the people who have been so helpful, people like Sanacor USA and Total Seal. Now, Steve and I did touch on a couple of things. I want to talk about those things. We talked about, obviously, the Lagana Strong situation, Bobby and Dominic. And, Dom, the worst news of the year prior to this past week was Dominic's crash. And that was Richie and Jake Sanders. And we had Dom and Bobby on the show earlier this year, during the COVID. We did a happy hour show. And to hear the news that Dominic is himself, making some jokes, calling Nat dog, answering my texts. That is just, it's helping balance out some of the other terrible news that we got. And that's the story about Eric Lane. And as we go on, so many stories are flooding back. And Steve and I, even talking before we got on the air, we just don't understand. And if I don't understand, and Steve and so many of us don't understand, I'm sure a lot of you fans and loved ones don't understand. And we just got to wait. Got to wait for all the details to be sorted out, like what's going on, what happened. But the sport of NHRA drag racing has lost, like, I can't even come up with the words. I keep just thinking of this guy, Eric Lane, as the captain of the football team, like the guy that everybody loved, the guy that everybody wanted to be like, the guy that everyone would go to for help. And I'm going to share a quick story, and I've been sharing stories and thinking of new stories. And so here's one. I became really good friends with Mama Kay at wine night, Ron Tobler's wine night. And Jack Beckman explained it, and I've explained it a little bit. I don't like to talk too much about it because I kind of think of it as a secret thing, that I got like in the back to the Goodfellas entrance. I'm going in the back door on this thing. And Eric and Ron invited me to go there. And it's in the lounge, and they're just sipping wine, and they're talking about stuff. You're at the racetrack, but it's like a happy hour where you wind down from the day. And Mama Kay shows up, and that's where I really got to be close with a lot of people. And so I've got all kinds of glaring holes in my knowledge, and I try really hard to increase my knowledge, but I realize that, man, I don't know. Everyone's always talking about the clutch. They're always talking about the clutch. And I know what a clutch is, and I know how it works, kind of, and I know the theory behind it, but I need somebody. But I don't want to embarrass myself in front of anybody. I got to pick the right person who's not going to laugh at me for not knowing something as deep into this as I already am. Like, I just want a lesson on the clutch. This is it. These are the parts. This is what they do. This is how we change it. And so who do I go to? Who's going to be the guy that I can go to and I will feel comfortable and I won't look like a fool? Eric Lane. And so where did it happen? It happened in Dallas a couple of years ago, just to tie it all together because the cosmic forces tie things together. And I snuck over there on a quasi break. And I was like, all right, break it down, man. And he brought out the clutch and he gave me a 25-minute course as best as I could absorb every aspect I could. And not that I've forgotten all of it, but I definitely couldn't set up a clutch. But at least I saw the mechanism and the work and the adjustability and why. And the differences, the stand and how they're different. And I walked out of there feeling great. And like I had fixed a problem, a weakness in my knowledge. Like, all right, like I thought I knew, but now I know. And who did that for me? And it was Eric. And there's 1,000 examples like this. And it's just terribly sad that we lost him so prematurely. And it's sad for the sport because he was going to be the next wave of Jimmy Prox and Richard Hogan's and Bobby Laganas. Like he was coming on strong. And that's the bad news for this year. But there's also good news this year. And when you think about Natalie and you think about Steve and baby Torrence on the way and them picking a name and Mama Kay and Billy having a little one to run around and junior dragsters and Garlits and how happy Garlits was. Like think of how happy Garlits was. There's no guarantee you put a paint scheme on a car and you're going to win with the car in the hometown of the man whose scheme is on the car. There's no guarantee, but they made it happen. And so I love the fact that this team goes out of their way to try really hard to bring happiness to other teams. All right, let's check out some final comments and then I'm out of here. I'm out of here because it doesn't get better than this. But I do want to remind everybody, subscribe to our podcast and like our page so you can see more of this stuff. Let's see. Chaz, awesome guy for sure. How is Dom doing, buddy? And the answer is positive. Recovering from a terrible situation. And most importantly, we're going to have Dom. Like we're going to be able to enjoy Dom. Very cool. Go Capco boys. Love that hat. Great interview. Great job. Thank you very much. It's all Nat. God bless you, Steve, and those Capco boys. Best of luck. Keep it rolling, brother. Steve Hudley didn't punch him. He slapped him. Big difference. Get out of here. Why are you even acknowledging that? I put stuff up and I read it yesterday. I just put it up and I read it, and then I realized that it's bad. Sorry. Rumor has it if you run a whole sticker, your chances of winning is higher. What, WFO? There's all kinds of evidence now. Let's see. Baby T, Steve is done. Yeah, Steve doesn't realize. I've got friends who have kids. My little nephew, Gray, is turning 10 tomorrow. And I have seen what having a kid does to people. And let me tell you, Steve, you think you've lost some hair. You think you've put on some age. You don't even know. Sleep. Then again, it might not be bad for Steve because he's having a little girl. Maybe do a little hidden horsepower clutch edition. Well, we did with Eddie Granaccia talking pro stock. We did. That's on NHRA's Facebook page. Go look for it. He showed us a pro stock clutch, not a top fuel clutch. Reinhardt does that. Reinhardt's the guy in charge of Nitro School. So I dare not go in that direction. Great show. Thank you. And great show. Thank you. And one more. I told him that Saturday night. I just don't know who that is. It's too bad. When you're in our Facebook group, we can't see your thing. Kudos. Kiddos drive you crazy. So what I was going to say, and we alluded to it earlier, I hear the little girls are easier when they're kids. That little boys are crazy maniacs when they're little kids, and girls are easy when they're kids. They sleep and they do all the right things, and it flip-flops when they become teenagers. And aren't we excited to see this whole thing play out? Hey, I want to remind everybody you can go to WFOradio.com if you would like to support the show. Go to the WFO store. You can get WFO stickers. I'll actually send you these for free if you send me a self-addressed stamped envelope. You'll see our sponsors, but also these WFO Radio face coverings for health and wellness purposes / promotional purposes of WFO Radio, your favorite podcast. And they're just $10. I'll throw some stickers in to boot. WFOradio.com. Thanks to Natalie for really coming up with this idea. Just yesterday, I said that I don't want to be the guy that goes somewhere that like a party or something that's not invited. And so, Eric would always invite me to places and I would go. I would never suggest that I do my show on someone else's Facebook page. That idea would not pop into my mind. She thought of this, and I think it's been great. And hopefully you Steve Torrence fans have enjoyed WFO Radio and will like our page as well. And maybe this becomes a thing, and I will be willing to do it. It certainly worked out. We have the capability. So thank you to everybody. Again, WFO Radio will be back next week. This is the final show of the week, but our archives are loaded. The podcast, the Ignition Show. We talked to Alan Reinhart. We broke down the race. We talked to Jack Beckman, Matt Hartford, Jerry Savoy yesterday. That's all on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find them all on our website, WFOradio.com. And next week, we'll be doing it all again with the winners from Houston. And if you're in the area, go to the race. All you Texas fans, get out there, get your Texas two-step in as we get ready. Bobby Graham, Joe, as a father of 3 girls, I am correct. I knew it. We got another K-Mac out there. Just north of me in Jupiter, I have a world-class all-concrete drag strip. Any word on PBIR? I know I go there all the time. I've been there twice this year. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio. Thanks to Steve.